Have you ever felt like there is a fundamental glitch in the system that feeds us? If you look at a natural forest, you see a system that doesn't need fertilizer, doesn't need pesticides, and has never run out of energy in millions of years. Yet our modern agriculture is dominated by annual crops that require constant chemical inputs and massive amounts of fossil fuels. This brings us to a simple but radical question. If nature prefers perennial plants that persist indefinitely, why does our civilization depend on the opposite? Today, we aren't just talking about gardening. We are exploring a design system for a world where energy is no longer cheap and abundant. This is permaculture, a revolution disguised as gardening. Permaculture was born in the 1970s during a radical experiment in environmental design in Tasmania. Its co-founders, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, realized that the environmental crisis was actually a design crisis. They saw that industrial civilization was built on a carbon pulse of non-renewable energy that is inevitably coming to an end. To survive this energy descent, they proposed that we stop trying to fix individual technologies and instead go back to the drawing board to redesign how we live. Permaculture is not a set of rigid rules. It is a thinking tool that helps us move from being dependent consumers to responsible producers. The foundation of this system rests on three simple ethics: care of the earth, care of people, and fair share. Care of the earth starts with the soil under our feet, which is the deepest expression of life's mystery. Care of people focuses on meeting our genuine internal needs, the need to belong and to look after our community, rather than the imagined needs driven by advertising. Finally, fair share acknowledges that there are limits to consumption and reproduction, but also recognizes the abundance of nature that allows us to share our surplus without expectation of return. To turn these ethics into reality, we use 12 design principles. The first and most important is observe and interact. Before you change anything in your environment, you must understand its natural patterns and rhythms. Another key principle is to use small and slow solutions. In a world obsessed with being big and fast, permaculture teaches us that small, incremental changes are more resilient and less risky. We also look to integrate rather than segregate. In nature, every element, like a chicken, serves multiple functions, from providing eggs to weeding the garden and fertilizing the soil. By arranging these elements so they support each other, we eliminate work, which is simply the result of not supplying a component's needs. One of the most practical tools in permaculture design is the zone strategy. We organize our lives based on frequency of use. Zone 0 is your home. Zone 1 is the area right outside your door that you visit every day for herbs or salad greens. As you move further away to Zone 3 or 4, the systems become less intensive until you reach Zone 5, the wildland, where we only go to observe and learn. This strategy ensures that we don't waste energy traveling to maintain distant systems while neglecting what is right in front of us. As we face a future of energy descent, we must also look at what David Holmgren calls the salvage economy. We have inherited a massive amount of infrastructure and materials from the fossil fuel era that no longer serve their original purpose. Instead of building new, high-tech green cities, we can retrofit what already exists. We can turn old spa baths into wicking beds, or scavenge stainless steel that will last for generations. We even have a phosphate bank account in our soils, a legacy of decades of over-fertilization that can now be unlocked by microorganisms to help us grow food without fossil inputs. The ultimate goal of permaculture isn't just survival, it is about building a good place to live. For many, the greatest challenge is psychological, changing our mindset from seeing frugality as a sacrifice to seeing it as a liberation. By simplifying our lives and building our skills, we regain autonomy from fragile global supply chains.
We don't need a central government to give us permission to start. We can model the world we want by living it every day. We are living in an extraordinary time in history, a pivotal moment where small changes can have enormous consequences. We are standing on a mountaintop, and the path we choose today will determine which valley we end up in tomorrow. You don't have to change the whole world at once. You just have to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. By working with nature rather than against it, we discover that the solutions to our most complex problems are often as simple as a well-designed garden.